Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome back to our Eureka from Scratch series, where I replayed all of Eureka from the very beginning on a new character just to see how long it would take for someone who wants to go back and do it now. We are coming to the final zone to talk about in this series, and that of Hydatos. Now, despite that, it won't be the last video in the series, but we'll talk about that later in the video. Now, I always start these videos off talking about my timing and also reminding you that there's resources for this stuff in the description of the video. Please use them. Now, how long Hydatos took compared to the other ones, it's a little off. It was actually the longest zone overall, but it may not have had to have been that way if I didn't approach it the way that I did. So it took me 10 hours to finish getting to the max elemental level of 60 and completing the Hydatos weapon. The problem is I got pretty lazy when it came to working on the armor. I got kind of spread out, and my ideas and objectives just started not happening as consistently as the rest of them. Now, in total, that took a few extra hours of effort overall. I'd guesstimate 13 to 14 hours if you want to finish upgrading the Pyros armor and finish a weapon. It really depends on how active your instances are, and I had some really inactive Hydatos instances, so it's going to even out your experience. But here we are, the final stretch, or is it, when it comes to Eureka. Now, the goal here was very similar to the previous zones. Get to the second to last level as quickly as possible. In this case, I was trying to get to level 59 as quickly as possible because I just need to be able to collect rewards from the notorious monsters in order to finish the weapons and armor. Now, I actually had an advantage here though. I actually came in here as a level 52 or 53, I don't quite remember, because it took me a little extra time to finish all the Pyros weapons and armor. Hopefully that happens to you too, because it just makes Hydatos go so much faster if you can be level 52 before you actually step foot in there. Now, if you're not, don't wait to hit 52 before coming here. It's just a major benefit if you got to that point before getting to Hydatos. And the main reason for that is because I approached Hydatos very similarly to that of Pyros. I used Reflect to kill enemies to level. Now, the reason why level 52 is this nice sweet spot, in the last video we established being 6 levels under your opponent is the perfect leveling range. Obviously, it gets worse and worse as you actually gain the levels, but that's the perfect ideal level. Now, there are actually level 58 Mammoths in the far northwest side of the map, but all they do is spam stone spells and a point-blank AoE, which makes them a viable reflect fodder, and there are a ton of them that respawn very quickly. However, I do actually have to have a few disclaimers here because they are not nearly as safe as the white flames or the elementals you are doing in Pyros. First, their point-blank AoE does physical damage, so you do not want to get hit by it. You kind of need to be micro-kiting them the entire time that you're actually fighting them. Also, do not fight the Mammoths at night, which is 6 p.m. Eorzean time in Eureka. They actually mutate at night, but they turn into melee fighters when they do this, which means they're going to slap you in the face. Not only does this mean they're going to kill you, but it leaves the mutated Mammoth alive, ensuring you can't even reflect farm these unless someone else is willing to come over and help you kill them. Honestly, people in Hydatos are pretty helpful with this stuff, so you shouldn't have a problem shouting and saying you accidentally did this and you need some help so you can finish leveling. But you could also just avoid doing this at night because they're going to kill you, bottom line. Now, on a nicer side of things, when it's gloom weather out, there's actually death sprites that are also level 58 that spawn here, and these are great for extending your chain or just for getting bonus EXP. I stayed here until about level 56, then I mostly used notorious monsters to level to 59. Now, of course, there are elementals all over the map, and use that tracker with the map there to find out where they are. But it's a little scarier to do reflect farming here in most locations. You'll often be avoiding monster aggro, so I liked to focus on spawning notorious monsters on the left side of the map, which are the lower level notorious monsters, and collecting their crystals to level, just giving me a bit of a head start on the actual weapon progress. Now, at level 59, you don't have to worry about leveling anymore. You can officially collect rewards from everything on the map. But if you really want to, you can choose to rush to level 60 by going to a special location called Sprite Island in the southeast corner of the map. This island is literally just 10 sprites of whatever weather it currently is that respawn every few minutes. You can actually come here as early as 57, but the EXP is horrible at level 57 because these sprites are level 65. It's actually okay at 58. I'd say if you want to use this to get from 58 to 59, it won't be the most exciting way of doing it, but it will work. 59 to 60 takes no time at all though. So if you really want to get to that point, or if you de-leveled and want to quickly get back to 60, this is the spot to do it. A lot of people do actually use this to re-level to 60 if they fail on the Baldesion Arsenal, which is going to be something we'll be talking about a lot as we get closer towards the end of this video. But let's wait till we get to that point to talk about it. So after you're done leveling, you got 59, that's the level you need. You'll just need to do a few things, and it's very similar to the previous zones. Now you'll need 350 Hydatos crystals. Notorious monsters here, though, are pretty cheap about crystal drops. At most, you'll be getting 10 crystals from the max level Notorious monsters at the time. So yeah, it takes quite a few Notorious monster kills to actually get to 350 crystals just for your weapon. On the flip side, that Baldesion Arsenal thing, if somebody is actually running that instance, it'll actually spawn something called a support fate, which actually rewards 30 crystals. You don't want to miss out on this if you see someone calling for the support fate. And the last thing you'll need is 5 crystalline scales. These actually drop off of the Hydatos boss Notorious monster, Provenance Watcher. This is like the Penthesillian Pazuzu of the other zones. Honestly, you'll probably get the 5 scales before the 350 crystals, but it is worth mentioning there is no exchange to trade crystals for scales, so you are going to have to actually spawn and kill this thing. Another thing you'll want to do is obtain these 6 new Logos actions. Now, in order to upgrade the Pyros armor to +1 in Hydatos, you'll need to have all 56 actions made. There's a new logogram called Obscure Logograms exclusive to Hydatos, which you can get from Notorious monsters, chaining monsters, or in that Baldesion Arsenal, we'll talk about it, I promise. They will give you the materials you need to actually make the 6 new actions. Now, as for how to actually do the upgrade, it's going to be 50 crystals to upgrade the body and or the legs, and 30 crystals for head, hands, and boots, totaling 190 additional Hydatos crystals. So however long it took you to get the crystals for your weapon, expect it to take just over half as long added on top of that in order to get what you need for the armor itself. Fortunately, it makes it glow, it makes the armor dyeable, and it looks pretty sweet. The tank set has been my perma glam ever since I got it back in 4.55, and for the sake of the series, I of course went ahead and got the aiming set for the character that I was using on Primal, so I like both of the sets, so the gloves on the aiming set are a little too glowy for me. Now those are all the most important things for just what the point of this series was, for getting the weapon, getting the armor, and finishing up Hydatos, but there is more to talk about when it comes to this zone, both advice that will help you get to that point, and clarifying the Baldesion Arsenal, which I've mentioned a million times so far this video. So first up, Bunny Fate. There is one elemental conflict on the west side of the map, but it can take you to anywhere on the map. This means that it may send you right into level 65 mobs, so be very careful when actually doing this one. Now, the items inside are a little more confusing than the other zones as well. There's going to be items like Ethereal Conductive Plates, there is a mount in the gold chest, and there's going to be Logograms, Gil. It's honestly, it's going to be a little confusing, all the things you're going to get. Now, the plates are used for something for Baldesion Arsenal, but pretty much nobody uses them for the reasons they're intended to be used for. Most people just consider them trash and toss them to the side, though I will make mention of them in my Baldesion Arsenal video. The Ethereal Conductive Flasks, however, actually let you increase the number of Logos actions you can hold at once, up to a maximum of 6. So you actually want to take these to the Alchemist in the base camp to expand your actions, because especially if you're planning on doing Baldesion Arsenal, this is going to be pretty important. Now, there's also a new boss in this location named Avni. Now, he just appears every 20 to 30 minutes. He doesn't require any preparations, you don't need to kill anything to spawn him, and he rewards 10 crystals. So because he spawns so frequently compared to everything else, this is one of your best ways of actually getting your Hydatos stuff done. Now, Avni himself is a bit of a special one, though, because he's multifunction. First of all, if you're going to fight him, bring Dispel. Don't trust other people to do it. Probably just go get Dispel yourself whenever you see him spawn, or just carry it all the time in case you're thinking of when you'll see him. Now, defeating Avni before finishing the story doesn't mean anything. You'll see some things happening around the zone, but they won't really matter to you. If you defeat Avni after you finish the story, he'll actually give you a buff that lets you enter the Baldesion Arsenal, which I can finally explain to you. This is a giant 56-player raid where things like Resurrection Magic are mostly disabled outside of Logos actions, your Echo is disabled, and it's just scaled up to be a lot more difficult than the rest of the content you've done across all of Eureka. Now, I'm going to be making a dedicated video for Baldesion Arsenal because it needs a dedicated video to accurately describe everything you need to know about it. However, Avni is the key to entering. When you kill him and get this buff, there's portals that spawn all over the map. They'll start as unstable portals, which you can actually use if you craft a certain item using those ethereal conductive plates, as well as a couple of other things. But after 5 minutes, they become stable and anyone can enter them, where that's when they're red portals is when anyone can enter them. Now, despite telling you can enter them, I'm also going to tell you this. Do not enter Baldesion Arsenal randomly without any sort of game plan. If anyone enters the Baldesion Arsenal, even if you leave immediately, it prevents Avni from respawning for 90 minutes. The reason that support fate I mentioned, which only spawns when players are in Baldesion Arsenal, gives you 30 crystals, is because it means Avni won't spawn 3 times. It's basically a sorry, we know you won't get to do this for crystals, so here's 3 times the crystals Avni normally gives. You're hurting other people's progress on crystals, you're probably hurting your own progress, so don't enter Baldesion Arsenal if you're just going in to, laugh and meme and just go die instantly or whatever your reasons may be. If you would like to do Baldesion Arsenal, it's mostly organized by Discord groups. Again, I'll be covering this in a lot more detail in the next video, but you just need to look for your data center and Baldesion Arsenal Discords, which shouldn't take much longer of a search than Reddit or just a Google search or something along those lines. Oh, and bonus advice about that support fate, it also requires Dispel to get rid of the Mighty Strikes buff, so if you have it, it's also useful for that. Feint actually helps too because something I never mentioned in any of these videos, wind aspected mobs have increased evasion. It's really annoying, but Feint helps deal with it, so if you're ever fighting wind aspected mobs, Feint's pretty good, and that includes on this support fate. Oh, and one last piece of advice. There's a lot of things you can do with Logos actions. I've made some recommendations here today. Wisdom of the Breathtaker increases mount speed. Consider using it a lot. And that's really everything that you need to know about approaching Hydatos. There's some stuff that's just like Pyros and Pagos as well. Like I said, there's bunny fates. There's also warped boxes from the mutated mobs. There's even 3 new items to increase your Magicite number to 7. Adaptations, mutations, all that stuff. It's still here. But there's not really much more other than Baldesion Arsenal that we still need to talk about. And that video is going to be a long one. I'm warning you now. I'll say one more thing about BA because I think it's going to be important because I think I might have this question in the comment section. You'll have the option to +2 your weapons and armor, but that doesn't change their appearance. It doesn't increase their item level. It basically just gives them elemental bonus, which is the stat that's on that Kirin Zo sword over 1,000,000 cloak that I told you about at the beginning of this whole series. And that just makes you stronger across all of Eureka, including inside the Baldesion Arsenal. So those stats really only matter if you plan on doing hardcore Eureka. If not, then they don't matter to you at all. Don't worry about them. If you're never planning on doing BA, it just won't matter to you at all. On top of that, in case you're wondering where to get Kirin Zo sword and Vermilion Cloak, inside Baldesion Arsenal, the items that actually make them, the Cryptic Seals and Damascene Cloth, yeah, they come from in there too. So hopefully that covers the rest of everything you need to know without me going too in-depth of an explanation on the arsenal itself. But that's going to be a wrap for my video on Eureka Hydatos. Best of luck to you in there. Hydatos, ironically, has become the longest zone strictly because of how many crystals everything rewards. It just doesn't have the same quality of life as the rest of them. But if you plan on doing BA, man, is it going to be worth it. I can't wait to showcase that video to you guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned because we'll have more videos coming out on this in the near future. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.